Ahoy, me mateys! Welcome to Pirate Soup.
Hi, thanks for joining me on this walk today. Eklava is a city in the Vysočina region of the Czech Republic. Vysočina translates to highlands, so as you can imagine it's quite high up. It's the largest city in the region with a population of around 50,000. It's massively reliant on the automotive industry, and the largest employer is a German company, employing around 10% of the city's population, to give you some idea on the side. As soon as you get out of the city, you can really appreciate the countryside, and that's where we're off today. I'm walking quite far to a pond out of the city, which should be full of ice, as it's only the end of January and this place is pretty damn cold in winter. You might notice that I'm recording the sound of this video after the walk. That's because the walk made me quite seriously sick, and I haven't really done much since then. Nevertheless, it's something I do regularly, so this time I thought I would document it. This is a dog kennels just on the outskirts of the city. It's run by the local town police, and it's possible to actually take the dogs for a walk, which I do want to do at some point. It's just getting the time to get around to it. But yeah, if you take a look inside, you can see that there's not really much to see. Onwards through the journey, and you can see that we're well out of the city now. It's been quite a wet winter so far, so the mud can be quite the nightmare. You can hear ice crunching below my feet here. The hill you can see here is a surprise which I will visit at the end of the video today. This part of the walk is mostly uphill. Eklava sits at about 500 metres above sea level, I think, in the centre. So now I have no idea how much higher I am. You can hear the traffic from the main road, which is quite close. This is the main road now, and I'm on a bridge which, as far as I know, is the only crossing over the road for the next few kilometres. At this point, you can still see that the roads are relatively okay. There's no real dirt tracks. Yet. This green mark is what I follow for most of the journey. Waymarked hiking trails are the European way, an Austrian invention I think, to navigate your way around. Some pretty interesting trails as well. And as you can see here, the further away from the city you get, the worse the path becomes. The road forks off now, and I have the last minute idea, which is absolutely genius, to decide to come off the main trail and take the dirtier route. More mud and ice. I'm glad I didn't have to walk through that, because the length of this walk, mixed with soggy shoes and socks, wouldn't have been pleasant. In the summer, most of these puddles have frogs and tadpoles in, which I'll be showing you when the time comes. Rejoining the green trail now, and my shoes are already covered in mud. At this point, the path is basically just mud. You can see car tracks though, as there's an off-road driving centre quite close, and the cars come up here sometimes. Lots of ice here, and as it's 2 years since I broke my leg on ice, I didn't really fancy trying my luck, so I stuck to the side of the path. I felt so ashamed of myself here. Despite walking this path hundreds of times, it's been a while since I was last here, and I wasn't 100% sure the best way to go. To the right, we've got the main road, which leads straight to my destination, but to the left, there's an extra long way leading to another pond and through another forest. I decided to stick to the road though this time, as I can show you the other pond in another video. It's much bigger, and many people go there for swimming in the summer quite frequently. My goal today is to go cold water toughening in an icy pond. It's a pretty small pond and not far away now, and I come here quite often to relax. Here we are then, on the road. Quick check back to make sure there are no cars coming. Further up the road, and it's still more hill climbing to be done. Here's an old bus stop which is still in use today. It's just outside an industrial area of some kind, and from what I've heard, I think it's some sort of military barracks from the past, maybe built during the communist era. I genuinely don't know. One of my favourite things about this country is the forests. They're absolutely stunning here. This is where I turn off the main road now, and yes, that's the main road to another village. That's the road we've just come up and turned right. And now onto the yellow path, which indicates a transitional path between two different colours. So if you go from blue, you could go through yellow, then you will end up on a red. This is the main road that eventually leads me to the pond through a small village. So this is the small village that I have to walk through to get to the pond. And a little further down, we finally arrive at the destination, which you can see just in front of the camera now. Just as I suspected, full of ice and nobody here. Perfect. It's such a pristine place to be, completely silent and tranquil. Now I'm going to get into the water, as somebody has already broken the ice, and then I'm going to drink warm tea and warm myself up with drying off. And I'll be quiet for some time and let you enjoy the silence for a while. After warming up and drying off, I set back on the way that I came to show you the place that I mentioned earlier on that hill. I was absolutely freezing by this point. I didn't manage to warm myself up completely, and this is what made me sick. Going the long way back with the cold wind wasn't the best idea. It took me about an hour and a half to get back here. You might recognise it from earlier, but this time I'm heading across the field. It's a muddy path, as expected, and my shoes are starting to collect half of the field with each step. But just to look at this view is certainly worth it. And here we are on top of another hill, but this one is a special hill. This is an old bunker that I think was built during Soviet regime under communism. And you can see litter inside, and it's being graffitied. On top of the bunker, though, you can really get a feel for the countryside here. And the bloody cold wind blowing against a bloody cold me is what made me sick. That sea clapper in the distance. And now I guess it's time to head home and spend the next few days in recovery. Thanks for joining me on this walk, folks. I hope you really enjoyed it, and until next time, see you later.